Hello and welcome to the biggest thrill you will ever experience in your life. I'm not going to sell it. Well, I have sold it like that anyway. It might be thrilling. You might love it. We are Idio Twin. My name's Frederick. Your name is?
My name is Chris.
Yes. And for a moment I thought, do I say my surname? But then what if someone from the government's listening?
Someone's going to find you.
Yeah. As I say, we're Idio Twin, and this is a podcast, the first of which I presume there'll be more.
Hopefully we'll do more. Well, we do it a lot anyway. It just depends if we want to record it again.
Exactly. If we do want to record it again, it will be not so much with a month's space between each edition, but it will be monthly. The space between each one will differ. This is called the Whiteboard Game. It is called that because it is an expanded, computerized version of a game that we did whilst doing music GCSE and music A-level. GCSEs and A-levels being English secondary school qualifications. On the off chance you're not from England or Britain. I don't know how wide our audience is. I presume not that wide yet.
Acting like anybody's going to listen to it outside of our parents.
Yeah, look, you got to accommodate for it. Just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case. And it's effectively a music guessing game. You get given an extract of music. It could be a song. It could be a piece of classical music. It could be a piece of electronic ambient music. You don't know. But sort of between 30 seconds and a minute long, and from that, the way we do it at least is you have to guess the name of the artist, band, composer, the name of the piece of music, the year it was released, composed, the genre, and then sometimes we have sort of a fifth category, which is an extra point. You get a point for each one. The year category is the only one that is a bit iffy because you have a range. We're not cruel. You don't have to get it exactly right.
Yeah. In essence, the later the year, the more exact you have to be.
Exactly. Yeah. Not to go on about it, sort of thing. Originally called Whiteboard Game because we used to play this on whiteboards when we were in a classroom. School. Yes. Yeah. But now it's on a laptop. And we've already done the first bit of listening to the extracts. We haven't recorded that out of fear of being clamped down upon by multiple lawyers of artists and international music governments.
Indeed.
We don't know how strict people are. We don't know. But what we did was we had 10 extracts we gave each other. We both listened to them. We both wrote down our answers. Now we're going to talk about it. So you're going to hear us talking about the answers, seeing if we get them right, and then discussing why we chose the extracts for each other a bit. You might introduce anyone who does listen to this to something new if it sounds interesting, or you might hear us talk about your favourite album and absolutely slate it. You don't know.
It's for you to find out.
Exactly.
Usually we pick a certain theme when we do these. When we first did it, we were just picking random willy-nilly things because we could, but
we were immature back then.
We were mere uni students.
Yes.
But now we have themes. This week's theme is our top 200 albums.
Yes.
Because we're the kind of people who have made topsters.
Yeah. So it feels quite shameful to say it out loud.
It feels incredibly shameful. Yeah. We only use them for this game, but even so, it feels.
It's not like a hierarchical thing. I know some people with topsters and the website Rate Your Music and stuff, they take it really seriously. Whereas this is how I decide what the best album is in the world and all of that. And I think for us, it's more so just we know what ones we like. And it's a way of recording what we've listened to, I find.
Exactly, yeah. It's nice to listen back to see how your musical tastes change.
Exactly.
Which is really nice. But yeah, top 200. I think you've included a joker.
Yes, so out of the top 200,
Yes. So there'll be one that Fred gives me that isn't in his top 200, and I have to guess which one it is. Nothing for me.
We do communicate very often. Just a singular lapse this time around.
We do talk to each other.
Yeah, we do. We don't cut this and then just sort of stare at each other awkwardly. We will go on.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all the housekeeping we have to do.
I guess to say that I mentioned sort of the fifth special category. So for this game, it is we have to guess where this piece of music off the album it's off of, where that album ranks within the top 200. And there's also a range for that. What did we say the range was?
Can't remember. I think we said it's either 5 or 7.
Let's say 7. For 200 albums, that seems
It's nearly
fair.
Christmas.
Yeah, season of giving. I think that is now all the housekeeping. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I think that was the least interesting bit anyway, so it's probably good that we get off of that.
It should get more interesting from here.
Yes.
If you still happen to be listening to this. All right. Who's going first? I think you said. Did you say I go first?
I think I went first last time, so you may open the guessing.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let me have a look what I put. Oh yes, this was one which I wasn't too sure on, but I ended up putting one which I think. Well, I know you've listened to it before, and they reminded me of them a little bit. I put 10cc as the guess. Sort of felt around this sort of time. I guess the song was called All Night.
Yes.
I guessed it was rock, 1976. And the placement, I didn't think you put it on How Dare You, which I know is very high on your top.
It's very high, yes.
So I just put number 122.
Okay.
Just presumed it would be on your subtops there. But
okay.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good answer. That is the answer. I've shown it to Chris. So the actual answer is it was 10cc. It was a song called Silly Love, which is in of itself sounds quite silly. Year was 74, so Chris was 2 years off it, which means he will get the point for the year. Genre-wise, they're quite broad. I said anything from art rock to prog pop, really. Awesome. And it ranks as 175th, so a bit lower. When, I should say, it's off an album called Sheet Music, which is their second album, I think.
Interesting.
I have gone back through when I was leading up to this Topster game, and I've spoken to you about it before. I have not just been listening to new music, I've been trying to complete discographies of artists who have other albums I want to listen to. And 10cc is one of them. They're one of my dad's favourite bands. And when he saw where I'd ranked this one, he did just go, that should be higher. He was just disgusted, no further comments. I showed it, like, what do you think of this chart? And he went, that should be higher. He likes this album a lot. And it is good. It is like other 10cc stuff in that it's very fun and very wide-ranging. It is a very good album. I think the more music we listen to for anything to get into the top 200 is quite impressive.
Absolutely, yeah.
So... yeah, I do really like it. It is my third highest ranking 10cc album.
Fair play. So is that behind the original soundtrack?
Yes, which they're both great. They're both so good. And this is good. I just think it doesn't have... it's got the same sort of like fun about it and the same, really interesting instrumentation throughout and everything. But I just don't think it has the excellence of execution that the other two albums have. It's just missing that element of experience. They've done a couple of albums. I'll come and just go, we're going to tear these albums up, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good listen if you ever want to complete your 10cc libraries.
Awesome.
I will not ruin this recording by saying why they're called 10cc, which I've already told you before. It's not a good fact. That is 1, 2, 3 points to open the game.
Thank you. Yeah. I should say, I think we forgot to put it at the beginning, but we have 10 extracts each.
Yes.
So 20 in total to get through.
So this is my first guess now. So, I thought I recognised Jeff Lynne's voice in this. I'm hoping it's not like just a Jeff Lynne project. I said ELO. If this is off, that one that I've forgotten the name of that I quite like, Out the Blue.
Okay.
I think that's the one. I will be a bit upset. I said Sweet as the Night. I said 1975, art pop, and I said it was your 170th. I don't know if you like ELO that much. I'm not sure.
Well, I do like ELO quite a bit. Yeah.
It is Out of the Blue. I'm furious. I knew I recognised it. I knew I recognised it.
Yeah, so it is ELO.
We've got it really similar in our rankings, you know.
Sort of,
we both have it at quite a similar place.
Yeah. Well, I listened to the whole thing. I've listened to most of the tracks on it. Both my parents really like ELO, so I've
Who doesn't?
Exactly. Yeah, it's nice listening, easy listening to a certain extent as well. As Fred said, you guessed right. Sweet as the Night is the name of it. It's one of the lesser popular ones of Out of the Blue. It's towards the end of the album. I put pop rock, but art pop is
just because he likes the strings.
He does. He does like the strings. 1977 was when it came out, and it is between 100 and 200. It's number 139.
That's quite high.
As you say, I think we've got it around a similar sort of area. But I think this is one I might do. Like you do your music of the week.
Yeah,
I'm going to do something like that, and I might talk about this a bit there. So I might go further in depth on that. But,
sure.
I'll summarise it here. This should be more high. Well, this song specifically should be more highly regarded. Because there's a lot of brilliant songs on that album.
There are a
Stone,
lot.
Sweet Talking Woman
is so
probably
much
my
fun.
favourite ever.
Oh, really?
ELO
Okay.
song, yeah. Just a lot of just good stuff on that album. And Sweet as the Night is one that I've come across, and I think I'm surprised it's not a big ELO. I suppose when you listen to this album, a lot of it is quite consistent.
It is really consistent, yeah.
And you're not listening to it going, oh, okay, I don't like that, and I'll go to the next one. It's all decent. And I've been listening to this track a lot.
Don't blame you.
It's brilliant. Listen to it. Out of the Blue in general. I mean, I've just mentioned it basically, but it's good. It's one of those ones which I don't think will go higher. It
I
depends
get that.
If I end up, falling for it, which I don't suspect I will. But it is very good. You've listened to it, so I don't need to tell you to. But if you're listening to this and you haven't listened to it, it's easy. It is a double album, so it's quite long.
It is a long one,
but just pop it on while you're doing some hoovering.
It's a fun album.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you've basically got that almost spot on. 4 points for you.
I tell you what, the last few times we've done this, I have not been very good. I've had a bit of a rough patch in these games, so to get 4 points on the first one, it's a return to form I think I've been craving. I'm not going to say that will continue throughout the game. I think that was probably the one I knew the best. I'm predicting a steady decline.
Okay, so I'm guessing next.
Yeah.
I recognised Sufjan Stevens' voice.
Very distinctive.
So I guessed Sufjan Stevens. I guess the song was called Goodbye Evergreen. I feel like that's what they said in what I imagine is the chorus. You can't tell. It's all very sort of overloading.
Yes.
I guess psych pop for that reason. I put 2020 mainly because I'd imagine it's off of his new one, Javelin, I think is the name of it. And I didn't want to put 2023 because then I'd be compromising,
of course,
a few years between.
Oh, he's gone tactical.
That's what you got to do. And I presumed you quite liked it, so I went for number 127.
Well, you're mostly there.
Okay. Oh wow, there you go.
Yeah, Sufjan Stevens. I quite like him. Goodbye Evergreen, exactly. Very impressive. Well done. 2023, it is off Javelin.
Awesome.
I said Folktronica. Psych Pop as valid.
Cool.
I put it 188th. Right.
Fair enough.
Right, so. I actually don't have much to say about it, apart from it's another very good album of his. I think it could go further up over time. I've listened to it like 1.5 times, sort of thing, and it's got there off 1.5 listens, which is already quite good.
Yeah.
So it could go further up. Right. See, I'm looking at the extracts I've chosen for this and what I'm going to say about them, and I'm acknowledging that what I'm about to say is not the only controversial thing I'm going to say, and it's the first one we've recorded, so I'm taking quite a dangerous move here. But I think, right, I don't know if you know the context of Javelin.
I don't think so, no.
It is dedicated to, I'm going to call the person his partner, or someone he had very strong romantic feelings for, who has passed.
I see, right.
And, knowing that context, you have a song that opens the album like this one, called Goodbye Evergreen, with the refrain of Goodbye Evergreen, you know I love you, repeated over and over again.
Yeah.
It's a heavy hitter, right?
Yeah.
But is Javelin as good as something like Illinois? No, I don't think so. It's as good as something, I say, an even heavier hitter, like one that kicks you as you're crying once it's already winded you, right? As like Carrie and Lowell. I don't think it is.
Okay.
And I'm tentative about it because I think that there are some albums that people will say are incredible, whilst this one is very good, but part of that reason will be for the context rather than the musical quality of it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And this is not me trying to underrate the grief that's gone into it or anything, right? But I don't want to say it's amazing just because I'm misinterpreting my feelings for the context rather than whether I would rather listen to it over something else.
Right, yeah, I'm with you.
It is very good. There are just other albums by him I prefer.
Yes.
It is a heavy hitter. He's got heavier hitters, I think. And it's interesting as well because he really straddles the line between his folkiness and his electronicness in this one. It's really, he combines them really well. The opening track is, for me, by far the best one.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That's why it's as low as it is. It is very good, but I'm just a bit... I think it's still too new. And it needs to settle a bit,
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Right, now I've said my first controversial thing, I'll leave it there. And I will give you 1, 2, 3, 4 points.
Thank you.
It's been a good game so far.
Yeah, we've been doing well. I've heard very good things.
This is it. Everyone's saying such good things about it.
But to be fair, I guess it's hard because he does have a lot of very, very well-received albums. So it's hard initially to see, where would this fit in his discography in terms of how much you yourself like it.
I would recommend it. I know you've listened to 1 or 2 of his albums.
Yes.
You listened to Illinois.
I've listened to Illinois and I've listened to Seven Swans.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I would recommend it. I would recommend it. But I know you've put off Carrie and Lowell for a bit. Maybe for the same reasons, put this one off, but not as much, sort of thing.
It's just not been on the forefront of my mind, really.
I don't blame you. It's
other stuff I've been keen to listen to.
Well, it's difficult to get into such a sad place as would warrant Carrie and Lowell, I find.
That's very true, yeah.
But yeah, this one, your song. I've gone for... I had a male voice and a female voice. I didn't immediately recognise the female voice. The male voice, pardon me. Well, I didn't recognise either. But the male voice had more of a part in it.
Yeah.
So I went for just a group that you like quite a lot in Brockhampton because they've got a lot of artists coming in and out.
Yeah.
I said it was called I Lose It, which is hopefully not what I'm going to do in the game. 2017, R&B. You like Brockhampton, so I said 48.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, this is...
You're going to tell... I'm going to get annoyed now.
Well, I've played you a song from this album.
Have you?
I'm
Recently?
not sure if it was 1 game ago or 2 games ago.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
But this is mainly why, because it's very different from that song that I played you.
Oh, God.
So this is a Lil Yachty song.
Oh, my goodness. So I need to listen to it even more now.
You really should, yeah. It's off of his new Let's Start Here album.
Wow.
Drive Me Crazy is the name of it. I think it's the most popular one off of that.
I am losing it.
Soul R&B, you put R&B. 2023. I don't have much more to say about the album itself since last time. I've listened to it a few more times. It's very good.
Just sounds so jarringly different.
It is
from his other stuff, which I love.
Impressively different, almost. Yeah. I suppose the main thing I want to say is I almost feel like people discredit the album when they say it's a psych rock album.
That's
because
fair.
It takes away from other really good songs like this. I mean, this is the most popular song on it. And if you were to tell someone it's a psych rock album, and they said, "Oh, okay, I'll go to it. I'll listen to the most popular track, and they listen to this," they wouldn't believe you.
It's not a psych rock.
It's not a psych rock song. It's very soulful, and as I say, R&B. I'm not sure who the female vocalist is. I'm not sure if she's not a massively popular vocalist. I haven't heard her on anything else.
Sure,
but she's very good, clearly. Yeah, I mean, I, everything I said last time to you about it, which is quite poor for the sake of the podcast.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I remember people liking it on release, and I only got to it recently because a friend of mine recommended it to me.
Sure.
Big up Omar. He's definitely not listening to it. But,
go on, Omar.
If he happened to find it. It is really good. It could... I suspect it'll hop onto my top. So it's at number...
It's very close.
It's at number 103 at the moment. Number 103. So it probably will upon a few more listens. But yeah, I'm not going to say much more except for, put this on the list.
It is on the list.
Oh, okay.
It is on the list.
Well, there you go.
I think just because it's so recent, it's beneath a hell of a lot.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And a while ago, I spoke to you about my list of music to listen to, about how fed up of it I was.
Yeah.
And I'm now just taking the stance of, I don't care what it is, I will just go to the next one down. I'm not going to scroll through it. If I'm not feeling it, if it is the entirety of Everywhere, like at the end of time, or whatever the Caretaker thing is called, but I'm having the best day of my life, I don't care. I'll ruin that best day. I will listen to the album. But it is on there.
Cool.
It is on there.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I suppose without further ado, I should give you your points.
Point.
I do believe that is on point.
Yes,
yeah,
I'm losing it.
Yeah.
It's what I said, poor form. The ELO was not a good reflection of how I'm playing this recently.
Oh, this one. This was a peculiar one. I could not put my finger on it. I couldn't really even gauge when it was from. I'm reading my answer now and I'm thinking, am I happy with this answer?
Well, I mean, look, sure. I haven't seen it, so if you want to edit it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I put The Cure.
Okay.
I don't think it doesn't really sound like Robert Smith.
Okay.
He's got that is his name, isn't it? Robert Smith.
I think so. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, it didn't sound. I don't think it sounded like his voice, but it felt sort of I said gothic rock, but maybe that's just because I haven't listened to gothic rock, and that's what I'd imagine it would sound like. I guess it was called Home Again.
Sure.
I put 1974. I think that's way too early for The Cure. I'm reading now. Way too early. This is a shambles of an answer. Number 148.
Okay.
That's what I put.
Okay.
Type that in.
Okay, so the main reason I gave you this extract, this part of this song, is because I wanted to see you react to the lyric, which I didn't, which I was disappointed about. And now that we're recording it, I don't want to repeat the lyric because it's not great. Okay. So what I'll do is I will type it into the notes section of my phone, and you can look at it, and then you'll probably go, "Is that what he actually said?"
Okay.
Because
I wasn't. I can't even remember what the lyrics even really were.
Well, there was one main one, and it's this. This is awful for the medium of audio.
Yeah, I initially put Black Sabbath, and then I thought it's not metal. Like, it's a little bit gothic, but it's not metal enough. Oh yes, I remember.
Yes,
I remember they said that. Yeah. Okay, so maybe not Robert Smith then.
Well, I'll show you what the answer is.
Oh, you know what? That does make a bit more sense, actually.
So this is a track called "Waiting for the Worms" off of "The Wall" by Pink Floyd. Released 1979, rock opera, art rock. I'll get onto the ranking in a moment, but I'll talk about the song briefly. Just in that you actually look, because I listen to music on YouTube because I'm poor. It's fine, try it. There's nothing wrong with it. And a lot of people in the comments of this video don't understand that it's a concept album. And the reason why you didn't recognise the voice is because it's a Roger Waters album. Mainly. So you do get Gilmour singing at points, like "Comfortably Numb" is off the wall, right? Yeah. But a lot of it is headed by Waters.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't understand that he's playing a character and that it's a concept album. And so you get quite a few people sort of going, I can't believe he said this. Why are we all still saying we like Pink Floyd and all of this? True, he said these really horrible, racist, anti-Semitic things in this song and all this. Just like, but he's not. Yes. It's a character.
Yeah, I suppose it's hard when he's not really the most likable person now.
This is true
as well.
This is true.
So you see that, and it adds to your image of him. So you don't take a chance.
Exactly.
Really look into it, I suppose.
But see, it was cruel of me choosing this one. I did it tactically because I knew you wouldn't recognise the voice. I did it tactically.
Yeah, you used "Comfortably Numb," and we did this with some friends, and you used "Comfortably Numb," and I remember I presumed if it was off of "Wish You Were Here," I didn't know it was off of "The Wall." So I presume that's why you used it, just to be like, listen to the wall, Chris.
Well, see, to the wall. This is the thing. Am I saying that though? This is the thing. I mean, you probably should, because it's such a historically big album. But see, I've ranked it at 199th.
That's true. Yeah.
And we're talking about the top 200, so it's only just in there.
Yeah.
This is where we come to the most controversial thing I'm going to say today. Apart from Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here, because I've done all the Pink Floyds now. Done it all.
Wow. I'm ready.
Pink Floyd are not as good as people say that. That's what I'm going to say. Right. I don't think they are. Animals. Right, you want me to tell you where Animals ranks? You want me to tell you?
Okay.
Animals. Right. So The Wall is 199.
To be fair, the only albums I've listened to are Dark Side of the Moon and Atom Heart Mother.
Well, there you go.
So it's only because I know that that is a hot take. Wow.
So The Wall is 199th. Animals is 196th.
Wow.
And Medal is 192nd.
Interesting.
And then you get Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here on my top 100. All the others are just not lost, but they're in there. Yeah. Now I'm going to attribute a lot of this to the fact that I have been raised in a Genesis household.
Fair.
So that is my vision of prog rock, right?
Fair.
And I got Peter Gabriel's voice. I've got Tony Banks doing unspeakable things to a piano, right? And then you've got something like the variety of Lamb Lies Down, where you've got these sort of almost weird Eno-y tracks in the middle of it and stuff, right? I love that album. Animals it's a great album, but it's just a prog rock album. That's what it is, and I don't want to. I'm not going to get into an argument about it. It's very good. Dogs is a great song, but it's just a prog rock album. I don't quite get it. That's the worst thing I'm going to say today. I don't quite get Pink Floyd. This is what I've discovered. And The Wall, it's very good. It's just there's so much music on it.
It's a big one.
It's so much.
Is it a double?
Yeah, I think so. But it's just, I think it would have been as good without a couple of the tracks on it, if I'm being honest with you. And I think people do agree with me when I say that. I know Dad does. He likes Pink Floyd. Right, before anyone kills me, I'll leave it there. Okay, I wanted to share my thought with you. But as I say, things like Animals and The Wall are still historically massive. So if you do listen to them, I'm not going to hold it against you. And if you prefer them to me, I understand it. But I am going to say 1 point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was going to say it's interesting that you were raised in a Genesis household, you say, because my dad is a very big Pink Floyd fan.
Oh, don't tell him I've said that, please. Actually, no, do tell him. I want to know what he says.
So, yeah, we got all ranges of the prog rock spectrum.
Yeah, we do
here in this whiteboard game.
We mentioned 10cc as well, you know. So,
true. Yeah.
Right. I thought this could be quite a few, because there are certain bands and artists that have a sound that could fit this that I know you like.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up choosing Guided by Voices. Okay, that means it's probably wrong. I said it's called Pig Parade.
Mm-hmm.
I said 97.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know what genre to put, so I put alt rock as a big umbrella term. Which, if you want to penalise me for, I'd understand it. I said 124th.
Okay. Do you know? I'm not sure if you did the same thing last time I played this person or not. I can't remember. But I mean, this is a it's a weird album.
Oh, is it? No, you're gonna tell me.
Well, the artist is Ariel Pink.
I wasn't gonna say that, but now you've said it, it sounds weird enough.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The title of the track was "Plastic Raincoats in the Pig Parade." So I'll give you half a point for just putting Pig Parade.
Oh, look at this. We've sold out. We've got mainstream. We're doing a podcast. Now we're doing half points.
I can't give you a whole point.
I'm not asking for a whole point. Be brutal.
I don't want to give you 0 points. Okay. If I give you a whole point, people will be saying, "What are you doing? Why are you giving him points?"
That's fair. But even worse if it is just our parents listening. It's like, why'd you give that Fred that whole point, Chris?
Yeah. I put hypnagogic pop and psych pop just because those are the umbrella terms for Ariel Pink. Really. 2014, because it's Pom Pom, which I'm not sure if it's his biggest album. But yeah, this is a pretty good spot on my top list. It's at number 50.
Yeah, it is. God.
Yeah. I only really picked this because I had to pick 10 extracts. That doesn't mean I don't like it, but yeah, it was just one that I could see and I could pick, and I thought, well, that's been in my mind a bit recently, and there's some really interesting tracks on there, like some really, really weird ones. Jello is...
You've played that to me before, I think.
Possibly. The only thing I can compare it to is Candy by Ween off of Chocolate and Cheese, which is a comparison I can only use to myself, maybe. Yeah, it's just it's a very eclectic track. Very weird. Very. I mean, psychedelic is probably the perfect word to use for it.
Yeah.
Really. Give it a listen yourself. You probably won't like it because it's very odd. I'm talking to the...
I thought you were talking to me, yeah.
I mean, you
might, know my taste. I like strange.
Like it, yeah. Once again, I don't have much to say about it. It's good. It's probably plateaued in terms of how much I like it.
I get that. That's 50's a pretty impressive plateau.
Yeah, that's very good. I'll leave it there.
Oh, okay.
I think I'll give you... we'll give you half a point.
Yeah, it's a first. Never happened before. Officially the lowest point someone's ever gotten on this game without getting nothing.
Point.
Yes. God, I haven't... Yeah, Ariel Pink has not made an appearance on this game for some time, actually.
Yeah. Do you know, I think the last time I used him was this time last year, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, we've been playing this game for a while.
A long time, yes.
You're number 4. Well, I presume it's dark ambient. I haven't listened to much, but the stuff you've played me feels like dark ambient. So, because of that, I took a stab and guessed it was off of that Seraphim album you like. So I said Seraphim 2 as the title of the track. How to Disappear Completely being the name of the... Is it a group? Is it just one person?
I think it's like a duo or something. It's more than one person from Poland.
Okay,
I think.
Interesting. 2018. I can't remember when you said it was released, so I just put 2018.
Sure.
And I presumed you were playing it because it's happened to pop onto your Topster, so I guessed number 93. Let me put that in the chat. Okay,
so brief Idiotwin Fred/Chris whiteboard game lore here. The last few games, I have been sporadically cruel because I do things that I refer to as YouTube core occasionally. And I know I do it, and I know it's a cruel thing to do, but it gives me a reason to talk about something I found that I like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This isn't necessarily YouTube core, but it's similar, and I'll go on to talk.
I mean, we don't play this game to compete. We play it just to share music. Which, if you happen to adopt this game yourself, listening, that should be how you play it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wise words. Remember that, kids. So, I don't know how to pronounce most of it. I think it's Korean lettering.
Yes, Korean.
Yes. Yeah. But apparently the artist name translates to father. The track is called That. It's the first one off of this record. 2015, so in the bracket there. I'll talk about the genre. That's the main thing to talk about. Death Dream. Yeah, there's not much to say, but it's something to talk about. But dark ambient definitely valid. And this is my joker, but only just.
Okay.
203rd. It's a really good dark ambient, like electronic project. It's really good, and I do recommend it if you're trying to find more electronic listens, which is why I keep finding stuff like this, because I want to expand my electronic catalogue.
Yeah.
And the way that I found this is that... can I remember how I found it? Yes, I do remember how I found it. So, I was scrolling through YouTube one day, but through my watch laters, not through like albums or anything. And I saw a video in there which said, it was called something like, the most disturbing genre of music or something.
Oh, I see.
Clickbait, yeah, it's not that scary.
Well, it is, yeah.
And I watched it, and it spoke about this genre called Death Dream. And I was like, I've never heard of that. That sounds so goofy. And I went on to Rate Your Music, and there are people who have made sort of playlists, and they say this is Death Dream, because Death Dream is not a tag that exists on Rate Your Music.
Right.
So I had to find a playlist that someone had curated. And this is probably the best one off of it that I found. And I think Death Dream is meant to be like electronic concept album about someone dying or something, or dreaming about death or something, like something evil and dark and morbid happens.
Really specific as far as genres go.
I know.
I suppose they get very specific nowadays, don't they?
What I would say is I think genres are normally a marketing strategy, and this one isn't. This is just some people on the internet have just gone Death Dream.
That's true.
But this is just genuinely a very good album, and I would recommend it. It's bleak, but it's not like unsettling rather. The other thing I say about it, which is very interesting, I think it's track 3, and I never thought I'd be able to say this, but I can do it, is a sample of Peter Gabriel. Is that not insane? It takes awesome. I want to say it's called Open off of Passion. And it just really elongates it with a lot of lo-fi static and everything. You're the production brains. You'd probably be able to listen to it and just go, Fred, I need to let you know that the sampling is really lazy or something. But it's effective.
Well, when I did music technology at university, I learned about something called pull stretch, which I don't know if you've seen videos on YouTube where it'll be a song, but it will say 800 times slower. Or something like that. Yeah, that's basically what it is. They've taken that song and they've applied pull stretch to it.
It could well be that.
So it could be that, yeah. And I remember I submitted something for one of my university modules, which was meant to be making music that's genreless.
Okay.
Non-idiomatic is how they said it. And I pull stretched a Frank Ocean song. I think it was Pilot Jones off of Channel Orange, and I pull stretched that, and my lecturer thought it was good, but he said it's very obvious when you pull stretch something. So not necessarily lazy, but if you're a techie guy, then identifiable is probably the right word. But it's interesting for if you're listening and you don't know about that, because it brings a very fascinating sound.
It does. Even if it is that used on that track as well, it's still very worth a listen. It's a shame it's not on the top on either, like in the top 200, and I think that's only because sometimes I'd rather listen to an album with tracks, like
Exactly.
I like songs sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think electronic stuff has to be really remarkable to get on there for me, and this is good, but I wouldn't say it's like it didn't blow me away sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to say that is 2 points.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Managed to somehow gripped 2 points from that answer.
That's probably the hardest one I've given you, so that's very impressive.
Thank you.
So on to your next one. I was puzzled by this
Okay.
because it sounds like a Scouse chap
Mm-hmm.
from a Scouse band.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not just the most famous Scouse band, but the most famous band.
Yeah.
I am, of course, talking about the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't recognise this off the Beatles album.
Mm-hmm.
And I've listened to almost all.
Yeah.
The others
I'm
are...
intrigued to see which ones you haven't listened to.
I could... Maybe a couple of the really early ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But apart from that, I think I've done all of them, to be honest with you.
Beatles for Sale, probably.
I haven't done Beatles for Sale, no. But I thought maybe instead it's a solo one then.
Mm-hmm.
So I said it was John.
Mm-hmm.
I said it was called Truth.
Mm-hmm.
I said 1970. I don't know when he died. I'm hoping I've made
He died in 1980.
Thank God, I don't look like an idiot. I did feel that would be very early.
Oh, yeah.
Alt rock, psych rock.
Mm-hmm.
I said 184th.
Okay. Well, in terms of... that's actually a very good answer. It was John Lennon.
Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so proud. I like it when I get the artist. I don't really care about the other ones. I shouldn't say that. It's a great game. It's a great game.
When you get the artist, it's the most rewarding in terms of feeling, because that's
it's a much better way of putting it.
Probably the hardest one to get.
Mm.
But yeah, it is John Lennon. I'm not sure which one was his. I think Plastic Ono Band was his first solo one.
Mm.
This is off of Imagine, which is his second, I think. The track is Gimme Some Truth, which they've got demos for it on some of the, I think it's the deluxe versions of Let It Be. So I presume it was originally a Beatles demo.
Right,
that
that's
John had
interesting.
brought and then adapted it here. I put folk rock, soft rock. I'd be tentative not to give you the genre, mainly because those are both sort of genres that have come a bit later than 1970.
That's true.
But you're within the boundary for the ranking, which is pretty amazing.
Just is that the first one we've had today?
I think it is the first one we had today.
Wow.
Yeah, I put it at 191, so it's pretty low down. But that doesn't mean it's one that I don't like as much particularly.
Still in the top 200.
This track in particular I think is what I really like. The guitar playing is really good, really nice. One thing I can say about the whole album really is it's mixed weirdly. And when I say weirdly, I don't mean badly. It's just that there are a few tracks that are very very reverbious.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Specifically, I Don't Want to Be a Soldier Mama, which sounds like it was recorded in like a basketball court or something like that. But it's cool, it's interesting. It shows that he's toying with different sort of sounds, which I suppose he was doing the Beatles era, yeah. So it's cool that he carried on doing that. Just good songwriting generally all over it. I like a lot of the later tracks, the most, mainly. That was when I was the most attentive when I was listening to it.
I found that recently, I don't know why. Just listening to albums, I seem to prefer the latter halves.
So if you listen to it, stick through it. You get some really good stuff at the end. Oh Yoko as a closer, lovely. How? Oh, lovely stuff. As in the track how, not as in how is Yoko good, but just nice songs.
I thought he was a good writer.
Yeah, exactly. They're not big albums as well. They're between 30 and 40 minutes.
Oh wow, okay.
So find yourself half an hour to sit down and listen to them. They're good. I haven't listened to Plastic Ono Band. I've only listened to Imagine. but it's nice. This song is my favourite. Give Me Some Truth, as I say. And yeah, I don't have much to say about John Lennon that other people have done. So I'll leave you with. I'll give to even that out. I'll give you another half point for truth.
Thank you.
I think that's 3.5.
Yeah, it looks like
Good
it.
stuff.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, what are you going through all the Beatles other projects?
I'm not.
Ah,
I might do some of George Harrison's ones.
that could be fun.
But
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to do McCartney's.
No wings?
Or yet. Maybe one or two. So I like. Is there one called like something egg? Something I can't remember.
Gosh, yeah.
It's the one that's got Arrow Through Me.
Great track.
Which I really like. So I might do that one, but I mean, in terms of like post Beatles solo stuff, it seems like the most well regarded is John and George.
Yes.
So I'll probably get to those first, and if I happen to find myself a bigger Beatles fan than I already am, then I'll get to those. But anyways, let's go on to my next one. Your fifth extract.
Yes.
I think I initially put Manic Street Preachers for this one. And I think that was the one which, when we were going through, I said, I was quite happy with that guess, because now who I think it actually is, not too far from.
Okay.
So I put the Smashing Pumpkins. I've no idea what that reaction means. 1979. I'm pretty sure they have a track that's a date off of Melancholy, which I presume is the one that you've given me. I put alt rock post punk because I guess they're alt rock, but the songs sounded very post punky. 1994, and I guess I'm trying to base it off of how I would react to a big album like this and liking it a decent amount.
Sure.
So I'd put it high on the subtopster. So because of that, I guessed 116.
Okay. So I had a Discord boing there. My apologies.
And for extra pointless guess, I guess it's off of Melancholy.
Well, okay. So for further context here, Fred and Chris, Idiot Twin Law. I was coming to Chris's once to do some rehearsing and things, and I said, over the journey, I've started listening to a really long album, and I've only got about halfway through it. So I thought I'd, at least get a bit further through it. And then Chris proceeded to go, was it Melancholy by the Smashing Pumpkins? And it was. I can now reveal that. Well, I revealed it. It was quite obvious, wasn't I? I was quite annoyed because I think we both like to listen to things and sort of tease the other person a bit by sort of going, just listen to something really good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wanting to know that you'll be hearing it soon.
Yeah, it's wanting to get it off your chest, but not having anybody else to talk to.
Exactly.
But knowing you can't let on more than, just saying you like it, really. So.
But see, I wasn't even trying to do that. I was just trying to tell you I'd started listening to an album. You said, was it Melancholy? And just the sinking feeling that hit me of just, yeah, it is. And yeah, you're exactly right.
Wow.
On pretty much all apart from the placement. Smashing Pumpkins, 1979, 95, not 94.
Interesting.
I just said alt rock.
Okay.
And I've ranked this at 174th, and it is Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. And the reason why, it's a very good album. Two reasons why it's not higher. And I can get through this quite quickly. It suffers from the same thing that I said about The Wall, in that there is a lot of music. And I think that a couple of the tracks, I think the writing and the sound on some of the more mellow ones, or something like this, which is just a bit more alternative, can sometimes be disrupted by some really heavy stuff on the album. I don't think it complements it as much as it sort of grates against it.
Right.
And I in my opinion, but I don't really necessarily always like heavier stuff. I'm sure there's other people out here that listen to this, and those are the ones they prefer,
Yeah.
But for me, it sort of disrupted my listening a bit sometimes. And maybe this is a controversial thing to say as well. I don't really like his voice.
Fair enough.
I find it a bit too nasal.
Fair enough.
It works well on this one. But especially on the heavier ones, it does just sound a bit like underneath some really chugging guitar riffs sort of thing. It's just a bit would I recommend it? Yeah. Do you need time? Yeah. It's for me, it was at points. It's never a good sign when I'm on one track in particular. I'm sort of thinking, I know I've got a lot left. If the rest sound like this, I'm not going to enjoy this.
That's true, yeah. Especially if it's 2 hours.
Exactly. Yeah. But the majority of them I did like, which is why it's not higher, but definitely not low. 174 is a good ranking. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Cool.
1, 2, 4 points.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
This is probably one that I will get to. And when you played the I really liked it. I haven't listened to 1979.
It is my favourite off there by a long way, actually. It's a really good song. It's about it's a really interesting examination on sort of naivety in youth, and sort of like this feeling of, I suppose, sort of getting older and not knowing what's going to happen, which is a theme we like to examine in our music on our EP, which is out everywhere. You should go listen to it.
And on our new song, which is probably out by the time you listen to it.
Yeah.
So we recorded this before we've released it. But,
we do make good music, guys. We're not just a great chat.
We're not just good podcasters, guys.
Yeah.
If that.
I have been thinking that the sound of us typing, also it brings in an element of nice ASMR as we're talking. That's as well. True, yeah. So maybe we are very good at this.
You might listen to it for that, you know. Who knows? Or you might listen to it because you're our parents. But
yeah, very true. Hi, Dad. So this is your halfway point on your extracts.
True.
I thought this could have gone two ways, but now there is something in the back of my mind going, what if it is some post-rock thing in the middle of a really long album? But so I will if we're doing the half points, I will accept it if either one of these is correct, because I put two artists because I wanted to spread myself thin. Okay. I said it's either a Japanese pianist or Joni Mitchell. It's one of the two.
It does have Joni Mitchell vibes, to be fair.
I don't think she was this virtuosic a pianist, but it was something a bit Mitchell-y.
Yeah.
I said it was called Spring Prosperity from the year 2000. I said it could have been game music, it is a piano instrumental, or it could have been a singer-songwriter track if it is Joni Mitchell. I said it ranked 160th.
Okay.
I'm hoping that it might be off a game soundtrack. Okay. I don't know. Because you like them.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I've got a few on my Topster and Subtopster. How would you react if I told you that this is the best-selling jazz album of all time?
Why? I don't know why I didn't think... What I'd say is, and I try and keep my outrage to a minimum because I realise I'm being recorded, I don't know why I just didn't think of jazz.
In fairness, it's not... I'll tell you the answer.
Best jazz-selling album of all time?
It's by Keith Jarrett.
I don't know who that is.
It's not... He's not as massive a name as, mainstays in jazz, like Miles Davis, for example. But this is a concert he did in Cologne, in Germany. Hence the name of the album, the Cologne concert.
Best-selling of all time.
It's interesting. I don't really have an explanation as to why. But the name of the track, on Spotify at least, that's what I use. Feel free to crucify me. I know I do bad things. Cologne. The name of the track is Cologne, January 24, 1975, Part 1. So basically the rest of the answer within the name of the track. I would have given you jazz or classical. But
and I said neither.
To be fair, genre-wise, it is a bit broad. So did you say what did you say? You say
I said game music or piano instrumental or singer-songwriter.
I'll give you piano instrumental.
I've scummed that, lads. Oh, wow.
1975. I've got it at number 144.
It's quite high.
It is, yeah. Especially for a jazz one, which, to come clean, jazz isn't necessarily a genre I have a lot of albums I really like.
Me neither.
I can listen to some and be like, yeah, they're good, they're nice. But there's never really ones that really hit. And the only one that really has, I'd say, is maybe A Love Supreme, but that's mainly because I did a university essay on it, which I got about 50% for, which is
unfairly.
really poor.
Unfairly.
But, I mean, that's not me to say. But
we hope you're listening. No, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. So this album is technically a live album.
That's
of
fun.
a concert he did, and the concert is built around. I think it's him improvising.
Wow. Okay, that's quite cool.
Although when I say improvising, I mean I'm pretty sure he had maybe like a few themes that he wanted to sort of play around and use as a basis for the improvisation. But this was recommended to me by a university friend. Ironically, was just talking about university. And I always remember to take his recommendations seriously because he listens to some really out there stuff. So if there's something that's decently conventional like this that he really, really likes, then
got to have something going for it.
There's got to have something going for it. Something which, I might also enjoy, which I have. It's not, as I say, it's not even really a jazz album. It's just him playing piano. There's jazzy bits, but it's beautiful. Another way of saying it. It is over an hour, so it's long. So it's best to listen to this in a way that you're not, I guess, giving your full attention to. You don't really need to. Like I listened to it while having a nap the other day, and let me tell you, that was a brilliant nap. Let me tell you. Yeah, he plays it well. I mean, he is a virtuosic pianist. You can tell by the thing. He's
100%.
Incredibly talented. But it's in the way he plays some of the things. Like there'll be some points where he starts stamping his foot percussively,
That's
which is
fun.
interesting. That's something different. And every now and then, the most amusing thing is when he plays something he really likes. You might hear him go, "Oh," which is really, really good. Really, really just adds a human element about it.
You got to celebrate your own wins.
Exactly. Yeah. You've got to be your own biggest fan.
Exactly.
It's a really likable album.
I can imagine.
It's one that took me quite a while to end up getting to, but I'm glad I did because it is very good. It's interesting that it is the highest selling jazz album. Jazz being in quotations there. He was a jazz pianist, I think, is mainly why that's the case. But what he does on this spans so many different things. But I'll leave it there. I hope I've done it justice.
Definitely.
Yeah, let me see how many points I will award you. I'll give you a point for piano instrument.
That's more than generous. That is very kind.
I'm feeling bad for giving you a couple half points.
No, you shouldn't. They should have been zeros, to be honest with you. But thank you. It was quite a roller coaster, your explanation of that. It started off with you going, I don't know why this is the highest selling of all time, and then you proceeded to give just compliments.
Well, that's mainly the thing. Is it puzzles me mainly because it's not just a jazz album. And as I say, I think it's labelled that because he was a jazz pianist. Yeah, it's really good. Anyway,
Okay.
Next one. You used a 2000s and forward David Bowie track.
Yes.
When we played the game with our friends recently, and I remember being really annoyed because I said it's somewhere between David Bowie and like Cockney, sort of stuff. I guess the Jury in the end, but and then it was David Bowie, and then I had egg on my face completely. So I didn't want to make this mistake again. So I thought it's probably Bowie. So I guess David Bowie. Hey Gina, which was the name of the track. Weird genre. I couldn't really point my finger on it.
Quite strange.
So I said avant rock. Maybe not really a scene. And I mean, it might have been Black Star. I don't know. So I guess around then. I guess 2013. And I thought, I do know. I remember you saying that there is an album that went straight onto your top stick. and I presume it's going to be used in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess number 87.
Okay.
Okay. That is my guess.
Okay, so it was the Cockney man himself, David Bowie. Yes, the Brixton lad.
Brixton boy.
It's called Girl Loves Me.
Mm-hmm.
2016.
Ah.
I had art rock, but to be honest, I'm willing
Art
to
rock,
accept
yeah.
avant rock. Yeah.
Thank you.
69th.
Hey.
I think he would like it that way. So yeah, it is Black Star.
Mm-hmm.
What can I say about Black Star? Everything I just said earlier about Sufjan Stevens' Javelin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm tentative to place more value on the context rather than the music.
Yeah.
Don't even think about the context. It's a remarkable album anyway. But then you add in the context afterwards, that not just that it's a Pharaoh album and that's obviously sad and everything that comes with that he was writing this and performing this and recording this whilst he was unwell.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Yeah.
Someone in his condition should not be able to do an album. Should not be able to write music like this. It shouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
He was insane.
Yeah.
And I think I've completed the Bowie catalogue.
Wow.
Right? Well, not every single one. Not
Okay,
every single one.
Okay.
There are ones which I look at and everyone says they're not as good, and so I go,
Fair enough.
I've done about 80% of them, and for me, that's enough. I don't think you need to listen to every single one by every artist.
You haven't listened to his debut, is what you're saying. I haven't heard good things about it.
What the very early stuff.
Yeah. Oh, like the one before Space Odyssey.
Yeah, the Space Odyssey was the first one I listened to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I was completing the ones I hadn't listened to yet. I think once you do that, you have at least something of a journey. Not perhaps every album, but you go through all his stuff, and you end at Black Star once he's done all these different genre changes.
Yeah.
I kind of struggle to listen to his stuff now because it was sort of like an eye opener for me of just like, this guy was that good, and musically speaking, his loss was that big.
Yes, he was that guy.
Yeah. And I just. Even it could be like you could be the most joyful, like it could be the most joyful stuff. It could be sort of like Young Americans or something, like one of his really upbeat songs, and I will still feel sad. That's why I say I struggle to listen to his stuff now.
Wow.
I will do it and I will enjoy it because it's all good.
Yeah.
But I can't help but sort of feel like, God, he was here and now he's not, sort of thing, and that is sad.
Yeah.
He was immense.
Yeah. You could argue definitely is one of the biggest, but there's probably something to say about being the biggest, or at least the most impressive
solo artist, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, just if you think of like people who have been considered great musicians, great creatives in their time, I don't think anyone spans it quite like he does.
No,
like he did it from his 20s right into his. I'm not sure how old he was when he died. Maybe his 80s, maybe.
Oh, younger, I think.
70s.
I'll tell you how old he was.
But as you said earlier, that shouldn't be possible, right? No. I mean, how old was he? He was. Oh, it's not going to tell me. I need to open it. He was 69. Wow.
It couldn't be more perfect.
This is perfect. Wow.
But some of the stories surrounding the album as well, how he was unwell and how he sort of gave it to the producers and everyone, and then I can't remember who it was who he handed it to, some big name I can't remember, and I think he looked through the track listings or listened to it or something, and then he just said, "You're writing a farewell album, aren't you?" sort of thing. He knew, and apparently there's one track on the album, which one is it? There's a wonderful track called "'Tis a Pity She Was a Whore." It might be that one.
I remember that.
It's a wonderful song.
I was going to say it when you pointed out that it was number 69.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting one, yeah.
I think it is with that one, though, that... And I can't confirm it because it's just a YouTube comment, but a lot of people seem to like it, so maybe it is true.
Yeah.
That I think apparently he was just in some bar in New York, according to this comment, and he just, it was a jazz thing, and he sort of goes up to them at the end and just goes, "Oh, you guys are good. Do you want to, record some stuff for my next album?" And I think apparently, what would you do? Just like, "You're David Bowie. Where did you come from?"
Wow.
But no, it is it's a bit of a difficult listen in that it's, you know, some of it is a bit bleak.
Yeah.
And you know, as what he's saying, he knows, right? And that's horrible.
Yeah.
But it is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it is momentous. And I really recommend it for anyone who likes Bowie if you haven't listened to it already. I don't know if there will ever be a better musical send-off. That's one thing I can say about it.
I think it's impressive. I feel like quite a lot of musical send-offs people do and then only get about halfway through it before they pass, right? So it's amazingly impressive that... Didn't he die a few days after it was released?
Yeah.
Yeah, mental.
Yeah. No, but look, if I keep talking, I just won't stop complimenting it, sort of thing. So I'll leave it there. And I will give you 1, 2, 3 points for it. Listen to Black Star. That's what I have to say.
I will listen to Black Star, yeah. It's on my... I often use my recent Spotify searches to see what I'm going to listen to. And it's on there.
Okay,
so,
nice.
The likelihood that I'll listen to it soon is high. And now that you've said all that, it's even higher. It's incredible.
It's really good. Yes. Okay. So your track. Now when we were doing the actual game, listening to it, I had quite a conundrum because this is a Midwest emo track through and through, right? Or at least it sounds like one. And of course, the big boys in the Midwest emo scene for a lot of people are American Football. But this doesn't sound like the lead singer because I think he's raspier than this guy. So I went for another band that I know you've listened to that I think touch upon Midwest emo at least. I think you've listened to their big album and I'm hoping that therefore you've come back to it and it's gone up.
Yeah.
I think this might be by Wilco.
Interesting.
I don't know though because I can't remember how his voice sounds either. I said it's called I Can't Say No. 2002, Midwest emo. I said 90th.
Dang. Well, this is a tricky one if you're trying to suss it out mentally because
it doesn't make sense. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Because it is American football. But it's a newer American football one.
Phil's got a LP I'm gonna Chris.
So the once young raspy teenager singing about
why didn't I put it? There's no shame in putting who you think it is with your gut. There's no shame.
Now that guy's 30 maybe 40 and
he has stopped smoking maybe.
This is off of American Football's second LP, literally called American Football LP 2.
I'm furious.
I've noticed some like performances on YouTube and stuff, and I've always clicked on it and watched for like 20 seconds and then clicked off. And whenever it's been American Football, it's always been this. I think this is really cool. I really like this.
Yeah.
And I've always been meaning to get around to listening to the later ones.
Yes.
And now I have. This track is called My Instincts Are the Enemy. I said emo rock, indie rock, Midwest emo, you're fair with.
Yeah.
2016 was when it came out.
Fuming.
It's number 142, so it's decent. But this is by far my favourite track on the album.
Okay, cool. Is this the one that's not rated as highly?
Yes, this is the one that's not rated as highly, yeah. And I somewhat understand. But I mainly understand that in that it's not like LP1.
Which is quite impressive.
Yeah, and LP1 is brilliant. They take away a lot of the sort of long form.
That's a shame.
Sort of like instrumental stuff.
I like that though, because I find their guitar playing really unique and special and delicate. Yeah. And over the long form stuff, you really hear it evolve.
Exactly. Yeah, they had post rock aspects which they don't have anymore.
That's a shame.
I think that's why a lot of people don't like it, because they find it to be quite plain and bland and boring. But what those people are forgetting, that these guys are amazing guitarists.
Yeah, they're still American football.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think what a lot of people say is it sounds like a lot of other stuff. which I find hard to believe because their guitar style was so unique.
It sounds like their first LP, which inspired a lot of other stuff. That's why it sounds like...
Yeah. It's worth a listen.
Cool.
I think one thing I find interesting is I think the album art is really good. I really like it. It's actually of the inside of the house that you see on LP1.
I was wondering, yeah,
which
that's
is really,
cool.
really cool. And I think on the first track they touch on that sort of like
nice.
Almost like they're sort of coming back to
the house,
to the thing, making music, and because they properly tour and release music now.
Amazing. Okay,
which is really cool. As you remember, they did that version of Stay Home during lockdown.
Yes, that was fun.
It's worth getting to. I mean, I think the guy's got a really nice voice as well. What do I really want to say about the LP? Musically, it's not. In terms of how it sounds, I suppose it's not massively different from LP1.
Sure.
You've got the really nice guitars. I think there's only 4 of them now, but I think there were more recording artists on LP1.
Okay.
Because you had a trumpeter, and I think you might have had a pianist even.
We're the one with the words.
Of course, yeah. I think his name Mike Kinsella, I think.
Yeah.
His lyrics are, I mean, I think they're probably one of the bigger drawbacks on the
That's
LP.
a shame.
A lot of time they feel a bit like they how would I describe it? Maybe a little bit generic, maybe a bit predictive, and maybe a little bit like they try and work off of phrases.
Right.
I'm not really sure how to describe it, but like they're not bad. I just think that he lyrically, I don't think he holds his own necessarily.
That's a shame.
But quite a lot of the stuff is quite bleak in terms of
course, yeah. I wouldn't.
Thematic nature. And, what he's singing about, and that's interesting. But I think what worked so well in LP1 was the fact that a lot of it is instrumentally driven and not so much lyrically driven, and that not that it felt like an afterthought, but it always felt like something you didn't have to focus on because the music there was solid.
Oh yes,
and you can really like that.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Whereas on this, a lot of it is just songs.
Okay.
He's written a song with his guitar.
Yeah.
He's written the lyrics, and then every band member chips in and plays.
That is
part.
different.
But
it's more jam session-y in the first one.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what it does. It does feel like you're looking at this house, and then you're hearing them do a jam session.
Yeah,
from
you
outside.
see them in the top window,
exactly,
sort of thing. Yeah.
And that's it has a lot going for it. And this one, maybe not so much. I still think it's worth a listen because it is good, and I think this track is brilliant. Personally, my favourite on there by far. I've taken up a lot of time with my answer.
No worries.
I'll stop there. This was one of the ones I wanted to talk about the most.
Yeah, it was a really interesting one. I wasn't expecting you to have continued with the American football lessons.
Yeah.
I am still frustrated though.
I'll give you a point for Midwest Emo.
Just go with your gut. We all say it, it's rule as old as time, go with your gut, and yet I think I'm smarter than it sometimes.
I mean, I think that's going to come into play with this next one.
Oh, for you, okay, yeah.
With me, yeah. Because initially I thought, actually, no. Because I initially thought it was an artist who comes up later.
Okay,
so
sure.
Unless you've used them twice.
Okay, I hear you. Okay. Joker's already gone, so...
True, yeah. I think this band, it might be what it is. I put Grizzly Bear.
Sure.
But as I was mentioning it to you when we were going through, their sound is very pristine, very not sharp, but good quality. They're not known for their lo-fi-ness.
No,
and there were certain lo-fi aesthetics with this track. So maybe it's an early Grizzly Bear song. I don't know. But I guess it was called Born Again. I said Chamber Folk. 2006,
Mm-hmm.
and I guessed it was number 135.
Well, you're very
Wow,
close. You're very close. It is
right.
Grizzly Bear. You are. I think it's getting to the point where you're starting to smoke me a bit now. The logicking is significantly better than mine today.
Lucky, if anything.
This one is called Little Brother,
Mm-hmm.
from 2006.
Wow.
Chamber pop, chamber folk.
Mm.
Take it as you want. 167th, their album Yellow House.
Fair enough.
This is the one that precedes Vector Mess.
Vector Mess. Yeah, was that 2009?
That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right. What I was looking up earlier, because there was something, you mentioned the sound of it earlier, as you say, it sounds a bit more lo-fi than what you're used to from hearing by them. I remember reading something about the way they recorded one of the albums, and it is apparently that Vector Mess, some of it was recorded in a church.
Wow.
For
that's
the
awesome.
purpose of the ambience.
Yeah.
Which I find a really interesting idea. Yeah. I think the reason why this is called Yellow House is because it was recorded mostly in I can't remember whose, I think someone's mother's house, maybe Daniel Rosson's. It's either Daniel Rosson's or Ed Drost's, one of the two, I think. And it is a bit more lo-fi. The further back you go in their catalogue, the more lo-fi it will be. I've listened to all this stuff now.
Wow.
And I can safely say there's not a bad album. Some of them are definitely much better than others. I'd say it's sort of, it's like a parabola. It's a hump. The sort of the quality in terms of time and albums sort of thing goes up in the middle, comes back down the further on you go. Vector Mess being the one in the middle. But Yellow House is really fun. It's really not. It's a bit more mysterious, a bit darker in many ways. I told you a while ago as well. I listened to an album and there was one song on it which I wanted to know how to play. And I looked at the tab for it and I got scared and I haven't been back since. It's this.
I see.
The finger style on this is nutty. It is mental. Daniel Rosson is underrated. He is the real deal. He's such a good guitarist. Wow. But like he's a folk guitarist, you know. But he's so good. And this is my favourite track of this album. It's about 7 minutes. You know, give it its credit. It's almost like progressive chamber folk. It moves through a couple of different bits. You know, really leans into the vocal harmonies and the guitar and everything. It's just, I like Vector Mess, and this is like the blueprint for an album like Vector Mess, but just a bit darker. So I was always going to like this one as well. No more to say. Grizzly Bear good. I quite like them. They're one of my favourite bands probably. I'm going to give you 3 points.
Awesome, thank you.
Once again.
I mean, that one was probably the luckiest.
I hope it runs out. Joking. It's, as we've said, it's not a competition. It's not a competition. You play up to it for the microphone. I think I recognised a man's voice. I thought it was the man who famously is the only person in his band.
Oh, yes.
Kevin Parker is his name?
Yeah, that's his name, yeah.
Of Tame Impala. Tell me it's only one guy.
I've had genuine conversations. Like it's not even a meme. Like it's genuinely all over the place. I had to tell my brothers. It was just one guy.
It's just one guy.
Yeah, it's not a meme. It's real.
Yeah, it's just one
real
guy.
Thing that happened.
Yeah. If you're listening and you didn't know it, you're part of the problem. I said this was called Left Behind. I said 2014. I tried to sort of go in the middle of everything. I said psych rock, maybe hypnagogic pop if you want to go that way. Bit shoegazy as well.
Yeah. This section specifically.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is one of the ones you really like or one of the ones you like but not as much. I said 35th. I thought it might be one of the ones you really like.
Interesting. Well, you're right. It is Tame Impala. You're bang on. Yeah. The song's called Runway Houses, City Clouds. I tried to go through the lyrics. He doesn't say it on there.
That's fair. No, it happens. It happens.
I did put psych rock, so I would have given you that.
Thank you.
2010.
No! That's just out of the range if you wanted to know why I said no.
This is off of his first album, In a Speaker.
I'm 100 places away!
I think the only Tame Impala one I've got on my tops is Currents, which, to be fair, Currents is at 10, I think.
It's very high.
It's one of my.
Okay, I'm. Is it? What's the? Is it the Slow Rush? Is that the name of it? Is that high in the second 100?
Slow Rush is near the top of the second 100.
There you go. Okay, that's what
which is in itself a bit of a hot take, because I know a lot of people would consider that his worst.
I've heard this,
which does. I mean, it surprised me a little bit, but in fairness, his discography is really good. Mm-hmm. Which is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to play it to you, because I know you love to work through artist discographies. You're doing some at the moment.
Yes. So there's a lot I'm missing out on. So.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to give this to you. I presume. Have you listened to Currents?
I have listened to just Currents. Yes.
Yeah. Well, all of his albums are brilliant. Honestly, they're really, really good. They do sort of have a shift, of course.
Sure.
Inner Speaker and Lonerism are a lot more psych rocky, sort of. Quite weird. I mean, it does feel like Tame Impala is doing his best John Lennon impression on this album, which is cool, because on a lot of on Currents and on the Slow Rush, a lot of people don't like the fact that he's in falsetto the whole time, basically.
Yeah.
Which once I listened to Inner Speaker and Lonerism,
this one, yes.
Yeah, I do think I understand where you're coming from, because he does have a good voice.
Yeah.
And for this sort of sound, it's really good. As much as I love Currents, I listen to something like Inner Speaker and I go, why did he do the dramatic shift? Like, the guitars sound really good. He really has a style here. I think this is the lowest ranked Tame Impala album I have. I mean, there's only 4.
Sure. Yes, there are.
So in terms of how discographies go,
it's not a long track.
Exactly. Half the reason why I presented it to you, because it's not a long discography to get through, and all his albums, I'd say, are really good. Yeah,
I from what I've heard, I'd probably be. Of course, I can't confirm it because I haven't listened to them myself, but I'd probably lean towards agreeing with you.
I mean, this is his debut, and
it's an impressive.
I'm so intrigued to work out how you get from where he was to this being your debut.
Yeah,
it's amazing. But very talented. If you're someone who just listens to Currents or some tracks off of the Slow Rush, go through his earlier stuff. Yeah, it's all really good. It's worth it. I don't have much to say about the track. It's one of my favourites when I listen to it, so I played it to you. But yeah, you've done a good job. I'll give you, unfortunately, only 2 points.
Just out the year.
Unfortunately.
That could have been if I lose, that's the reason why. I will probably do the rest of the Tame Impalas. I'm just sort of working through my own rankings.
Yeah.
And each artist I get to that I want to listen to the rest of the albums of, I'm going that way.
That's
sort
interesting,
of thing.
Yeah, it's worth doing if you like an album by an artist, to seek out more of their stuff.
Yeah.
It sort of makes sense, really, doesn't it?
There is, of course, the rare, minuscule chance that you might be disappointed by everything else. I'm yet to have that, really. But I'm aware it could happen.
Yeah. I think I quite like this next one you gave me.
Yeah, you said you did, yeah.
But I couldn't put my finger on who it was. And I still can't really. I ended up guessing Songs O Higher, which I don't think it is.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's something about it that made me say him. There was another artist I was going to put for it. I can't remember who it was. Never mind. I guess it was called So Tangled Up.
Sure.
Emo folk, I said. If no one is making emo folk, I will make emo folk.
So the project.
2010. I didn't actually put a thing for this. Let me do it now.
You've got to choose now.
Let me think. Where would he have put this? There we go. Number 152.
Okay.
Is what I guessed.
You'll recognise the name.
Yes. You cheeky devil.
Yes.
Wow.
I've got him, lads. I've got one back. The comeback is on. So, This was a track by the band called Pinegrove, who are now famous for having their song Need To blow up all over the social medias, everywhere.
Yeah.
It goes a bit like this. Dun, 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 that one.
We recorded a video of us doing the Pinegrove Shuffle.
Yeah, we did. Of you doing the Pinegrove Shuffle.
Yeah, quite badly. As I've been told by a good few people.
Have you?
A good few people have told me, that's just not the dance, mate. You've done it really badly. I mean, those are my brothers. But,
right, fair play. Well, at least they've recognised that it was the trend.
That's
good,
yeah.
Do check us out on social media. We're not just good at a podcast. We make good music and we're funny, I think.
Well, that's up for you to decide.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm telling them. This was Pinegrove. This is a song called Angelina. It's only about a minute and a half long.
Slacker rock.
Definitely slacker rock. 2015, I said indie rock, slacker rock, alt country as well.
Yeah.
198th off an album called Everything So Far, which is a compilation album. I'm not proud to admit it, but it is. And the reason why I chose to listen to it rather than working through a discography is because they have got songs off of EPs and things on there, and I don't want to work through all the EPs of bands and everything as well. Yeah. And Need To is off an EP, right? And that's the song that I heard first by them, so I wanted to listen to more stuff like that.
Of course.
Which is why I did the compilation, because I had more stuff off of EPs and stuff. And it is a good compilation. They've got good songs. I think it's just like I like it, but like just not as much as other stuff. It's simply that.
Yeah.
It's simply that. There's nothing more to say than that.
Yeah.
This is one of my favourites from them. Angelina, really simple, does what it needs to do. I love the way it comes in. A minute and a half song. Literally, there is no excuse to not listen to it. That is literally that's the shortest one I've had. Right, done. I'm gonna give you. You said folk. Emo folk has folk in it.
If you're sure.
I mean, I'm not, because I want to get back some points. I'll give you a point.
That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. I've once again clawed a point out of that. So.
You see, but now we're getting to the back end of the game, right? And I always feel like, I don't know about you, I always try to store up ones that I maybe want to talk about more, like subconsciously, without trying.
Yeah.
So I now kind of feel like this is room for either of us to absolutely, show our class with some logic here, or drop a bunch of points.
Yeah.
I worry when we get to the end of the rounds. Especially now that my lack of musical logic is being showcased. Okay, I said this sounded like a Black Moth Super Rainbow record. I said I tried to figure out what the vocoded lyrics were going on about, but I couldn't. I thought it sounded a bit like, at one point they said So Soft, so I said that. 1999, Electronica, 102nd.
Fair enough. It is, you know me very well, this is Black Moth Super Rainbow. I share my Spotify with my brothers, and this was the only artist I listened to that got into the top 5 or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Which is weird, because if theoretically, if they hadn't been using my Spotify, that means that he would have been, or they would have been, my most listened to artist, which I wouldn't have pictured at all.
No.
Not at all.
I mean, you do like them.
I do. I really like him, especially this album, which I'll talk about.
Oh, no.
The track's called 1, 2, 3 of Me. I'd said indie-tronica, electronic.
Okay.
1, 2. 2004. They're not as early as you think they are, to be fair. Their sound is more lo-fi than you'd have thought for the time. It's gone up since last time. Number 21.
Wow!
This is Starter People.
That's the highest one we've had. Wow.
Once again, a little bit like the Ariel Pink one. It was just one which I thought, I've got to have extracts. I have a tiny bit more to talk about this album than usual. And I get to share my love of it with the people listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
it's gone up a bit more because I realised every track is just
A banger.
really good. Yeah, really good. Even the ones that are just really short and weird, and you can listen to, and you can tell that half of it is reverse. Even that's good.
Yeah.
Even that I really like. I think I've played you 4 tracks from this album by now.
That's how you know it's properly hit. It was like me originally with Pink Moon by Nick Drake. Just had to keep doing it.
That's a whole quarter of the album. So go for it. It's very good. It's around a year ago that I first listened to it, and winter is the perfect time to like this album. I think I'm not. I don't know if I said it on the podcast, but folk hits different.
You haven't said that as we've been recording. No,
folk hits different in the winter time, and something like, even though it's not folk, it's almost like
sort of
folktronica.
Yeah, folktronica. Yeah, that's valid.
Maybe not really, because it's all synths, but
I think that's valid.
I don't really know what to call this album, but I said indie-tronica, but people say that LCD Sound System is indie-tronica, and their sound is completely...
goodness me.
But they're saying in indie-tronica from a place of... It's like electronica, but you combined indie rock with it.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm saying indie-tronica because it's like electronic sort of stuff, but it's sort of lo-fi. Like he's made it in his room.
Bedroom electronica.
Yes. Yeah. Bedtronica. It's just it's something I find hard to describe to other people. It's just something about the melodies on this album that just feel so naturey, and beautiful. I need to go on a massive walk at some point in like the countryside,
all the albums,
and just listen to this like 3 times.
Yeah. How long is the album?
It's only about 40 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Bit less. Yeah, I'm struggling for what to say. I feel like I'm not doing it justice to the people listening to it.
He really likes this album, guys.
It's amazing. It's grown on me so much as well. It was meddling around the Subtopster for a bit. It's brilliant. I'm just gonna leave it there because I don't want to take up too much time. But
I mean, you're allowed to talk about what you like.
Thank you, Spotify, for showing it to me. It just popped up. It just started playing one day.
Yeah.
It started playing. And that's the only way I would have found it. And I love it. I think it's great. So Spotify's not all bad.
They're clearly not.
Probably one of the hottest takes.
Yeah,
today.
so far.
Yeah.
Sponsor us.
Okay.
Don't do that. We didn't say that.
Yeah, let me give you your points. I'll give you 2 points.
Oh, I will so take that. It's getting into, the scary time. I will so take 2 points.
Right.
Speaking of scary time.
Our last 2.
What did you think of this one?
4 more to go. What did I put for this one? I can't really remember. Let me listen to it again and tell you what I think as I listen to it. Oh, I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. But it reminded me a bit of... I mean, this is probably just one of your YouTube core sort of things, but it reminded me a bit of a certain post-rock band I've listened to recently.
Okay.
And I know that... I know firsthand that they experiment more with just their instruments. This is a very long way of saying I put Godspeed You Black Emperor.
Yeah.
I didn't recognise it, so I thought it might have been off of... I know F sharp, A sharp Infinity is very high rated. I haven't listened to that yet. So I went around the time I think it was probably released. But weirdly, the title that I've put is in line with the titles off of Yankee Uxo.
Okay, sure.
So I've put Wedding Favours equals Big No No. Which doesn't really mean anything. It's just a phrase that came to my head. And then I put Noise Rock / Shoegaze.
Sure.
Not really Godspeed, but I wasn't convinced it was them anyway. 1997. I guessed it was around 162. Yeah.
Well, you've got a ranking point.
Oh,
you managed
wow.
that. Now get ready, Chris,
Okay.
because firstly, I'm not joining you in a foot race to complete all the Godspeed You music. That's not what I've done. But it's something we've spoken about today. The last few games, Chris has had it over on me of beating me to listening to artists, and then he uses them in this game, and I go, no, it's not fair. I was going to use it in a game against you. It's not fair. Chris, I think I've got you back with this one, right?
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, I was expecting more anger. Fair enough. Okay, I was expecting more frustration than that. That's fine. Maybe I'm just more easily irritable than you are. I don't know.
Just in with the ranking. Wow.
Wedding favours equals big no-no. I love that as a guess. So this is Swans. This is the beautifully named track. Her mouth is filled with honey.
Just a way of saying she has a very sweet vocabulary.
I don't think that's what they're saying. This is from the year 1996. The genre for this album, I've put post-rock, I've put sound collage, I've put post-industrial, I've put field recordings, and I've put dark ambient, and it ranks 155th. It's the album Soundtracks for the Blind. Yeah. I'm working through their stuff.
Fair enough.
This is the band I've been telling you that I've been struggling. I was struggling to figure them out.
Yeah.
And the reason why, I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible, but I've got a bit to say, so I'll go as quick as I can. They start off No Wave. And we've spoken about No Wave before. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It is just lead singer Michael Gira.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Gira, not Gira, because Gira sounds wrong, but it's his name, so if that's right, then I'm wrong. Sort of shouting words, like one word over and over again, over people like dropping their instruments on the floor, sort of thing. And I get why someone would like it. It's like, when you look at modern art that we've spoken about, you might not get it, but you get why someone would get it.
Yeah.
And I get why someone would get their early stuff, but for me, I just had to skip their first sort of 3 or 4 albums because I knew they were all going to sound like that. And so I was looking through websites and things until they started describing the genre as something different, which it did eventually, and I've done them, and then it started to click more. And then I got to this, and there's so much reputation behind this, right?
Yeah.
It is lauded. People adore this thing. How do I describe... This is what I listened to yesterday.
I see.
It's really long. It's about 144 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, is this the one which you said you listened to in the evening time?
Yes, which was a mistake. I was so tired, but I was desperate to finish this because I had a feeling I knew I was going to use it, right? But I did end up listening to the final 50 minutes of this, starting at around 1:15 in the morning. Everyone else had gone to bed, and the wind was starting to pick up here. It was not the most pleasant, but I gave it my full attention like it deserved. I grit my teeth, I got through it. It is potentially the most disturbing album I've ever listened to.
Wow.
Potentially. Okay. I think there's classical music that I've listened to that's disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
But this is probably the most disturbing album I've listened to. Because just the subject matter, the lyrical content, just the noises that he creates. I mean, I think it's actually more a piece of art than an album for me. Because it's like the difference of style he achieves, the variety of noises, of sounds, of things that are spoken about. It's a concept album for me, not in like there's a story, but like when we made the EP and everything, and when we've spoken about our album, we've discussed how it's not a concept album, but we sort of want a similar thematic line through all of it. Yeah. Like you can follow a theme through this. It's a concept album like that. And I think it's, to give you an idea of why it's disturbing, I think he stumbles upon this metaphor of blindness in an earlier album. I could probably pinpoint it for you when he writes about it. And he likes it as a metaphor for being young, naive, morally sort of improper. You don't know how to carry yourself. Just sort of, and he expands upon it, and you get this album this isn't just lyrically, just as a whole, it is disturbing, it's dirty, it's scary, it's alien, it's off-putting. It sounds like you're in hell. Yeah. As a compliment, it sounds like you're in hell. Yeah. The use of, I wasn't expecting it to sort of be post-rock song, ambient track, field recording. Post-rock song, ambient track, field recording. On like, I just thought it was just going to be just a lot of really long songs, to be honest. I went in misled. This track is... The field recordings are from... I think she's his partner as well, I'm not sure. There's a female band member called Jarbo. That's a stage name.
Interesting, yeah. Where are they? Are they Americans?
They are American, yeah. And her dad was like one of the top boys in the FBI or something. Wow. So he had to do a lot of investigative work, I think. So he has a lot of tape recordings and stuff.
Wow.
And so they use that and stuff. There's a track earlier on this called... Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. I Was a Prisoner Inside Your Skull or something. That's a lovely name, isn't it? And the majority of that, I think I've got the track right. I know people love this album, so if I'm wrong, I will get killed. But I think the majority of that track is a field recording of an interview he did, an interrogation of someone basically telling, like the criminal talking to the person he's being questioned by and saying, oh, I know I'm screwed up, but not using the word screwed. But you're more screwed up with me, and this is why. And it's all just eerie. But I think this one is a tape recording of her father talking about Jarbo and saying like, oh, she's in the room, she's lying on the bed, she's got incense burning, it's all a bit weird. I think she must be hung up over some boyfriend or something. But I think it apparently is her first LSD trip.
Wow.
He doesn't know that. It's just... Will it go up over time? Probably. It's not that I can hum you many melodies off of it. I just think... I don't often get a feeling of this. I don't sort of love it because it's like, oh, it's banger after banger. It is very good. But I'm just more so impressed by it.
Yeah.
I just think it's I just think it's a really impressive thing he's made, that they've made together. This is the most recent one I've listened to. I said it last night. They take a long hiatus now, and then they come back later with sort of second generation Swans, which I'm sure I will get back to you on. But I've spoken about this for a very long time now. It's just immense. It's just... Is it as amazing as people say it is? I don't know. That's not me saying no or yes. I don't know yet. But I wouldn't also hold it against you if you did come around to Swans, you started here. I can now tell you as someone who's listened to it, I wouldn't. It's not a bad decision to make. I've said a hell of a lot, but it's such a big album. I suppose
they seem like a band, and the album seem like we have quite a lot to talk about. So in some ways, it feels that you can't say a little about them.
They're very interesting, and there is a really fascinating evolution of sound. I don't like No Wave is the main negative takeaway. Right, now that I've said an acre, I'm going to give you 2 points.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Swans. Wow. I've really... I've never been eager to start their discography.
I've always been scared of starting,
But, I don't know. Fair play, you got there first. And,
I just had to get one over you, man. I'm sorry, it's so petty. Just thought, yes, let's do these yet. Start with them. I don't want to do it yet. I'm scared of them, but I'll do it. Right, on to you talking about something now for a change, because I need to shut up. I'll just tell you what I put. I said Boards of Canada because it was electronic and they hadn't come up yet, and you love them. Sounded kind of like, you know, when you're at the beach and the water comes up and there's sort of foam that it leaves behind. It sounded a bit like that.
It's interesting that you say that.
Oh no, I said it was called Sea Foam. 2004. I'm not entirely sure of their years yet, even though you use them so many times. I just can't remember. So electronica / ambient. 140th. I thought maybe it's one of the albums you don't like as much. There's one that you don't rate as highly. I can't remember which one.
Okay, well, the one I rate the least is Tomorrow's Harvest. I'm not going to go into why. But I think this is the one that I haven't played anything.
I'm not far off.
I've played one thing from it for you, I think. But this was the one which I love. Music Has a Right to Children, and GeoGaddy is grown on me massively.
Evil album
since when I first listened to it. And this is the one after it called the Campfire Head Phase. And I hear good things about it. People like it, but it's never been one which really struck with me.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you'll notice when you listen to it is you go, they play guitars now? When did they play guitars? I thought they use synths and stuff. But it's really, the weird thing is it's really tasteful.
Okay.
You thought the first time that they tried doing stuff with guitars that it might be a bit weird, a bit different, but it's really tasteful and it's really pretty.
That's good.
Really beautiful. It's probably the prettiest Boards of Canada album, I'd say. Very beautiful.
Well, that's quite promising. That's quite a good thing to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I say it's interesting that you say you saw Seafoam because the cover of this album, it's hard to tell what it is because it's very blurry.
Yes.
But it looks like to me like the sea out there.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Sands. I don't know what this weird white thing is in front of it. I initially thought it might be like a small plane or something, but I think the whole thing's meant to be, illogical and hard to tell what it is.
It's meant to be obscure.
Yeah, except for the
person,
the charming bloke in the polo shirt. But yeah, similarly to the Keith Jarrett, I re-listened to this upon a nap once, and it was a beautiful nap. It was beautiful. It probably comes across to the people listening that I sleep a lot, which is true. But yeah, this was I don't think I've gone through the track yet, have I? This is Boards of Canada. Yes, this track is Tears from the Compound Eye. One of the prettiest ones on there, in my opinion. It's towards the end of the album. Ambient electronic. It's their most ambient one.
Okay.
2005 was when it came out. Number 118.
That's pretty good.
That's where I put it. It's gone up a bit from where it was. Yeah, I don't really. I've played you two others actually. Cause I played you Dave and Cowboy last time. I'm pretty sure.
I do remember this actually. Yeah. I recognise the name.
The sort of shoegazy one.
Yeah.
Sort of Western sort of sound.
The sort of that didn't immediately sound like
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, it's probably in terms of how much other people like it, it's probably up there with Music Has a Right and GeoGaddy. It's just not hit as much as the other two have for me yet, but I do still really like it. All the tracks I think are good. The closing track is one I have the hardest time with.
Okay.
And the main reason is that it's like a looping melody, like a really sort of lo-fi looping melody.
It's a shame though, because that's a closer. There's a struggle with it.
But that's the Boards of Canada thing. You close weirdly. I won't tell you how they close it on GeoGaddy because I still want that to be a surprise for you. But yeah, the way they close it on this is it is quite a loop, but it's about 8 minutes.
Yes.
And half of the track is watch out for Magic Window. Yeah.
We'll just see the rating on that plummets.
No, but that's Corsair. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. Anyways, half the track. This is off of Campfire Headphones. I think it's called Farewell Fire.
Okay.
Half the track is just like a fade out.
Oh.
Which I think it adds to the atmosphere. It's not you could say. But
okay.
I can totally understand somebody else listening to it and going,
"Don't get
it's
this."
a really disappointing closing track. I think it's alright. I'm going to leave it there. So that's as much as I have to say about it.
Cool.
I do love Boards of Canada. I think they're great.
I think I've asked this before. Do you prefer them to Aphex Twin? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, I haven't listened to as much Aphex Twin. I've listened to a handful of his albums, whereas Balls, I've listened to all of their albums on Spotify. Admittedly, they've got a lot of stuff around the internet
media,
somewhere. But yeah, for the time being, I prefer them. I'll give you... You've done well here. I'll give you 3 points.
Yeah, I'm clawing it.
Very good.
It might end up closer than I think it is. I don't know.
Last one.
I will apologise actually, because I'm looking at it now. I think I might have given you the most depressing double up to end one of my rounds I've ever given you.
Possibly.
Which is not nice of me. I wasn't thinking straight.
It had no effect on me.
Good. Well, you see, you haven't listened to at least this album in full.
Still decent. It would be a very different podcast if I was just sort of sulking the whole time. I should probably tell you what I thought this was.
You don't have to.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's... I'm trying to put my water down. I'm pretty sure it's Phil Elverum's voice. But that came with a query because
Under
I thought,
which name?
Because I thought, I know that you've liked the microphone stuff that I've played you, and I know that you've gone deeper within their stuff. But he also has Mount Eerie. Is it more of a solo project than the microphones? Or just like a rebranding maybe? So I did end up putting Mount Eerie. I think that will come to cost me instead of the microphones.
Okay.
So I presume this might have been A Crow Looked at Me. It's very, very, incredibly bleak album. I just guessed it was called On a Hill. I put folk. I wasn't sure about the genre.
Sure.
2017. And I put 103. I presume that you took a shine to it.
He's back on form.
Mount Eerie. Oh wow, it is.
Yes. So this is Mount Eerie. This is a track called Seaweed. This is from the year 2017 folk album. I rank it 64th.
That's amazing. Wow.
The album A Crow Looked at Me.
Yeah.
Now I'm not often this assertive when we have these conversations. But I suppose now that we're recording it, I will be. Everyone should listen to this album.
Wow. Okay.
It is too important.
Yeah. Do you know what? I have the same thing to say about my final one.
Okay,
So
excellent.
very cool.
Excellent.
Very cool. Very nice that we've done it
hang
on the podcast as well.
Okay, I might need to... Oh, it's too late to change things. That's cheating. That's cheating. Okay, I definitely losing points there. Tried to be too clever, failed. Anyway, everyone should listen to this album. It is the truest reflection of grief I have ever heard.
Amazing.
You know, most people have felt it, but some people haven't. And some people have felt it, but they need to hear it being felt by other people as well.
Yeah.
And I do not think anything will ever come close to this. It is painful. I don't often cry to media. I was on a train to see a friend who lives in another part of London. Semi-doxed there. It's a large city.
Yeah, it's too big.
Yeah.
It's too big for you to know anything.
But because they were so far out of London, but within London, you get to that point when you're on the tube and you still have a connection. And so I could listen to it on the tube. To say that I was this close to blubbing in front of not a busy tube, but a tube with people on it, I actually had to fight with myself to not do it. There are certain lines on this which I listen to and I go, I have felt that, or that is so sad, Phil. Why have you put that in a song? That's so brave.
Yeah.
It's not like microphone stuff. It's devoid of almost every metaphor. You still get some themes.
Yeah.
It's devoid of all the noise and all the sort of lo-fi production stuff. Instrumentally, you could say, like, if you were to sort of not even think about it, you'd go, this sounds boring.
Okay.
This album sounds boring. And if someone were to say that to me, I'd go, without like talking about the lyrics or anything, I'd go, instrumentally, that's a fair point. But you are so profoundly wrong. It is just... I don't know. I think it's just... I don't know how to describe it. It's almost a spiritual thing. It's like... I just think it's so important as an album. I knew it was going to be difficult to listen to. Yeah. But it is really difficult to listen to. And it's something that I don't know if I ever will want to come back to, even though I know how good and important it is.
Yeah.
There are some lyrics on there that I think, and I gave you one of them. This one broke me. When he goes, because he talks about how, because it's diary entries, he hasn't sat down and written lyrics.
Oh, wow.
Which is why it's so real.
That's That's such an he's got such an interesting way of writing.
He does, and I don't always like his writing.
Yeah.
I'll admit that, but it is always interesting. And this is an album where he just bears everything, and it's purifying almost. He's telling a story how he gets her cremated, his wife, after she passes, and he gets where he lives sounds quite natural, and he puts a chair on the top of this hill. And he gets it to turn to face out, and he pours the ashes onto the chair. And in the extra to given you, he says, "It's so I thought you could see the sunrise every morning, but I know that ashes isn't you." And then you think, "Oh, that's a horribly bleak thing to end it on." But then he says, "Because you're the sunset."
I see.
Is that not just immense?
Yeah.
And then there's another one which hurts that sticks out for me when he goes, "Today is the day I first noticed it. That the pictures around the house are replacing my memories of you."
Wow.
But it's so painfully real.
Yeah.
But that's why it's important.
Yeah.
And it hurts, but that's why it's important.
Yeah.
And so, look, The Swans is impressive. It's a magical piece of art. What else have I given? The Pink Floyd's The Wall. It's historically important. The Sufjan Stevens. It's painful as well. The David Bowie, even, it's remarkable that someone like Hit That and Well could write that. Listen to the Mount Erie, anyone. It changes you.
Okay.
Because you see grief from someone else's perspective purely, and it helps you to understand it.
That's interesting.
It helps you to be okay with it, I think. The album terrifies me and I love it. And I'm never going to have that relationship with an album again, I don't think.
That's interesting, yeah.
I could not respect him anymore just for that release.
Wow.
So that's all I have to say.
Incredible.
I'm going to give you 3 points for it.
Thank you.
I am glad I had the bravery to listen to it effectively.
Yeah.
Although I should not have listened to it on a tube. That was a really bad decision.
I'm surprised that you managed to hear any of it on the tube.
It was quite quiet. The further out it got, it was quite. Okay. There was a bit where I'm not going to say the stations because I'm not gonna, but there's suddenly you're moving through the zone sort of thing, and you know how you get a station every sort of 30 seconds every minute.
Sure.
Suddenly you don't get one for 3 minutes, and it's just like, and suddenly it's just forest. Right. We're going out. Okay. Yeah. Which was nice actually. The guy I met, he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry about the long journey." I said, "You don't understand. You don't understand the journey. It was so important to me.
It allowed me to do so many things.
I will never forget this journey."
Wow. That's definitely put it higher in the pecking order for me. It's probably one I was going to get around to, but
I will say
that.
Like prepare yourself because it is just so forward with it.
Yeah.
That it doesn't hide, sort of thing.
The fact that it is entirely diary entries makes it comes across that way. By the sounds of it, yeah. Right.
Okay, I'm guessing, aren't I? Sorry. Right. So, I had a panic earlier. I thought, because I'd forgotten to put something by Godspeed You Black Emperor. And I know you're listening to them. But I'm satisfied that it's not them. I think it might be another post-rock band called Sigur Rós. Because it sounded sort of post-rocky but folky at the same time, which is what I interpret them as, despite not listening to anything by them. But I've tried to big brain it and I regret doing that. Because I thought maybe you've listened to... Did they have an album this year or last year?
They have one this year, Sigur Rós.
This year?
Yeah.
I thought maybe you listened to that because you've completed going through their stuff now. So that was the logic I followed. I said it was Sigur Rós. I said it was something in Icelandic. They are from Iceland, aren't they?
Yeah, they are Icelandic, yeah.
I said, 2023, post-rock, 176. But I'm excited for you to tell me that it's a different one, because I think it is.
You've completely overthought this.
Okay.
Yeah. It's off of...
I'm going to shoot myself. I'm not going to shoot myself. That's a joke.
Yeah, I was going to give you another part of... I've played you a bit from the last track, like Antennas to Heaven, before. And I was going to use that again.
Oh, God. You know what? It's a great time to go back to that Mount Erie album now, I think. I'm in a good mental state. Yeah.
But
Oh.
Yeah. So the last one I played you was the weird sort of chimey bit.
Yes.
Which, if you go on, it's probably on other sites, but if you go on the Wikipedia page, it gives you. So they're very long tracks.
Yes.
It gives you like the breakdown of each section.
Sure.
And the section I played you genuinely was called something like Glockenspiel Duet, something like that. It sounds like something they've, some weird like chimey sample they've found.
Right.
Put it through a bunch of weird effects. This is one called Sleep, which is the penultimate one, which doesn't mean anything because it's also the third track.
That's a great way to put it. The Glockenspiel Duet, yeah.
I put the actual section of song that this is from.
Okay.
From Sleep. It's called Broken Windows, Locks of Love, Part 3, / third part. They're named really weirdly, I'll be honest.
Lunatics.
I said post-rock.
19th best album of all time, goodness me.
2000. You might notice it's gone up a lot on my Topster.
Where have you put it? Yo! Okay.
So you probably remember me saying that one time on my way home from yours, I listened to it. And despite it being an annoying journey, the buses weren't great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I got the time to listen to it.
Yeah.
Because it's... I found more of an appreciation for it. And I listened to... once again, I listened to it whilst taking a nap.
Well, there you go. Is it nap music?
Do you know what it is?
Okay, fair enough.
It is. And I'll tell you why I think it's nap music. Because I enjoy this album in the same way that I enjoy like a symphony.
That is fair.
Each time you don't really... Each time you listen to it, you're not really gonna... well, you're gonna find parts which you don't remember, and they come back. I've listened to it 3 times now, and the two times I have listened to it from the first one. I mean, it's an hour and a half long, so you're obviously going to find songs which, parts of them that sound different. I think, in my opinion, that's one of its best parts, its best aspects, because each time you listen to it, it's doing something different.
Okay.
If you listen to it and just try and give it your full attention, it is really hard, because their stuff is incredibly long form. It's very drawn out.
Yes.
There's even parts where a lot of the motifs and stuff aren't necessarily going to be massively catchy. Which in a sense brings so much more joy to the parts that are a lot more catchy and a lot cooler. Yeah, I mean that symphony point was the main one that I wanted to put across.
Oh no, definitely, yeah.
Because it's I understand when people say that this is one of the best albums of all time.
See, this is rare because we speak about these albums that people say are the best of all time, and we rarely actually say to each other, yeah, it probably is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can understand why people say that. I definitely think it's an album that people should listen to. You just get those every now and then, which you think everyone should listen to this at some point. It completely transcends the band entirely. OK Computer is one of them for me.
Good point.
I mean, this is a completely personal one, but Some Rap Songs by Your Sweatshirt, my favourite album of all time. I'd say listen to that. Don't worry about the rest of his stuff. You don't have to listen to it. You just listen to that. I'd say the same thing with this album. I'd say the same thing with the first No, it's not their first. Their biggest album, the biggest Sigur Rós album.
Yes, the baby one.
A New Beginning. I'd say that about that one. It's a unique way of experiencing an album. And I think the only other Godspeed album I've listened to is Yankee Uxo, mainly because that album cover is
a lot
amazing.
of fun. Yeah,
it's incredible. But that album is entirely instrumental, and they get across. They do get across a lot of emotion, but I think it's harder to get into. I think Godspeed is already a hard band.
Of course, yes. Well,
Not necessarily hard as in like it sounds like scary, like something like
It's not abrasive.
Yeah, something like I'd imagine maybe Swans might be.
It can be quite off-putting.
Whereas this, it's just long. I think it's hard to be attentive.
People look at the time even before they've heard it, and it's sort of like, I can't do that. And sometimes it's valid.
Exactly, yeah. But if you... I mean, you can even put it on in the background. You don't have to be massively... It's long form, so you don't have to be attentive to every single second of it.
Yeah.
Parts are going to be repeating. You're going to be hearing similar things often. So you're going to get an idea for each part. Right. Yeah, I mean, I can see this going up, personally.
Okay.
Because each time I've listened to it, it's sort of leapt in terms of how much I enjoy it.
Well, I suppose another thing is because it's such, it's all long form. Each time you come back to it, is it let you hear different things?
You find something new.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's one of the biggest selling points for me of the album.
100%, of course it is.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say. Interesting, the track. It's weird that the track titles are, I think it's Storm, Static, Sleep, and then the fourth is Like Antennas to Heaven.
Yeah.
Peculiar. But,
it'd be interesting to know the logic behind the titling. That's one thing I don't think I'll ever get an answer for.
One thing I'll say is from this point in the album onwards, this is like the middle towards the end of Sleep.
Yeah.
A lot of the first two and most of Sleep are quite, I'm going to say, darker. They're not abrasive. They're just sort of darker.
Yeah.
They play with tonality a little bit.
Moodier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas from this point onwards, mate, serene.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Okay.
I played you that glockenspiel part in Like Antennas to Heaven. It sounds amazing. I love their sample bits. There's a bit at the end of Storm where it's just like a really just sort of reverberous piano.
That sounds nice.
And it's just very sort of, I'm not sure what the sample is of, but it's like it's some sort of like aggressive speech or something.
Oh, okay.
But it hits. It's brilliant. Listen to it when you can.
Yeah.
I'd heavily recommend it. I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to give you a point for post rock.
I deserve that for trying to be clever. I deserve that. It's interesting how we're both having a post rock time.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
This could be bad. I could make a fool of myself on recorded media.
Alright. We're going to add up our points now, and we're going to see you one. And then it's been over 2 hours, so we're going to...
Really?
It goes quickly. Probably not for the listener.
No.
But
sorry.
But we're going to add up. We're going to see what we got. And then we're going to close off. Hope you've enjoyed listening. I can't multitask.
Oh, God. So for the record, everyone, if you've been paying attention, it's like it's 10 extracts with 5 bits to each answer. So there's a maximum of 50 points here. And as you say, it's not a competition. I'm going to keep saying that because I don't think I've done very well.
Yeah.
It's not a competition. But yeah. We are both very competent. I'll say that as well.
Why?
You say why?
Why are we both so competent?
I'm sort of forwarding the injury I'm about to take.
Okay,
right?
That in that it's going to look like we've
like I'm not competent. Yes.
Yeah. It's hard to score high in the whiteboard game.
It is very difficult.
As you might find out in future weeks when you see our scores and think, oh, that's really bad. In some ways, it's to our own fault because we pick
quite tricky
extracts
things
that we want to talk about more than we do want to see the other person guess it. But,
or sometimes you just overthink it.
That's very true. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I've got my answer.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Put it in there.
Cool. Do you want to do a countdown?
I'll do a countdown. Yeah, I'll say 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair play. What did you get?
I got below the pass mark. I got below 50%. I got 19.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, these are the hardest ones, I think. I got 26.
That's me clapping. That's now Chris joining in.
Good game. Hope you enjoyed it.
Well played, Chris.
Well played to you.
Congratulations.
Too. Yeah, there were some good guesses in there.
There were some very good guesses. I quite like the top 100/top 200 games because I think it's. We do the themes and they can be a lot of fun, but this is the truest reflection of the stuff we like and what we're listening to.
Yeah.
So despite all the jokes I've made about struggling on the score and everything, I do enjoy these quite a lot.
For some reason, it's the reason we do it. To talk about the stuff we really like.
And to find stuff each other likes and then to discover stuff ourselves through that.
Exactly, yeah. Which, if you want to do it with your friends, we've told you how to play. It's a great way of finding new music. I think talking about music with people is one of the best ways to find new music. And it really helps to expand your palette.
Oh, completely.
Specifically.
Completely.
There's a lot of albums I wouldn't have listened to if you hadn't talked about them.
But similarly,
introduced me to
with Chris, for instance, I think just the clearest example I can give is I used to be not anti it, but I had not opened up to the world of rap and hip hop at all, really. And then you recommended me one or two albums that I gave a go, and now I'm not as vanilla. So there we are.
Well, one of them you really liked.
Yeah.
The do you want to say what?
Care for Me by Savage. Just a shout out to that one. What an album. Thematically hits me. I don't want to talk about it too much because it's already been a long shift for the listener, not for us. Unless you've enjoyed it as much as we have, hopefully. Closing statements. Have I got any closing statements? We're still Idio Twin. We've still got music out.
We still have a social media page.
Yes. It's IDIOTWIN. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook. We've got a YouTube account where we upload highlights. The other social media, it's more for japes and...
for skits, for rehearsal performances, for promotional videos.
Yes. And we've got a show coming up on the 4th. So if you happen to be in the London area and you want to dox yourself as much as we have, come on down to a place called the Water Rats. We've got a show there on the 4th of January.
If you go to our link tree, you'll be able to find more info on that.
Yeah.
Or just come to our social media. It's plastered on a lot of our
videos.
videos.
We're pushing it quite a bit. So, funnily enough, we want people there. That's why we're doing it. So forgive us.
You specifically, we'd love to have there.
Yeah. We know you, Amanda. Yeah,
Kyle, be there.
Listen here, Kyle, you little squirt. If you're not there, I know where you live. Yeah. Pin. Right. I suppose that's us. I think.
Oh yeah. Oh, we have a special way of ending this.
Yeah, we do.
Is it copyright worthy? I don't know.
I don't think he's put a little C next to it.
We'll have to see if he sends us a cease and desist.
Yeah.
After this goes out, but
and if so, we'll make a post about it. He sent us a cease and desist. We're famous.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you take the reins and I'll follow you.
Okay. This is a reference to some people's preferred music critic of choice on the internet. We'll let you figure out which one it is, if you can add up the numbers yourselves. So, I've been Fred.
I've been Chris.
This has been the Whiteboard Game, the first one we've recorded for this medium. And I suppose all that's left to say now that we've done that is, because it truly is timeless, and we hope to do as many of these as possible. Whiteboard Game. Forever.